Oh, welcome everybody. Um, this morning, I'm filling in for Rev Pam. How's that? It's kind of hard. Who is at an environmental conference with Michael at the resort at Squaw Creek. So she gets a day off. Imagine that. So I'm Nancy. I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living, and it's my joy to welcome you all this morning. So whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you're welcome here with us. We know there are many paths to God. And we recognize that all these paths end in oneness and in love. So we're grateful to each of you to spend this morning with us, whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching on our Zoom live streaming. So our center's purpose is love. Our vision is embracing all while awakening to the one, or serving with love while awakening to the one. So we begin our service with a receptivity statement that you may find or not. We're having a little issue with the slides this morning, which we couldn't find. But I'll just repeat. I'll say the receptivity statement, and then maybe you can repeat after me, or most people know it. I am here by divine appointment. Something I'm about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. So this morning, our musician is Kali Hansen. So Kali has been coming to us for 14 years. She was hardly out of high school when she started. Thank you. But she teaches voice and piano in Reno, and she's a singer and a songwriter. And she has 3 kids and 2 grandchildren. The 2 grandchildren live in New Hampshire, which that's hardly fair. But anyway, we're grateful to have Kali here this morning.
Hey everyone, I'm happy to be here as always. It's been a while. Always one of my favorite things to do. My first selection this morning is called Hills and Valleys by Tauren Wells. I've walked among the shadows, you wiped my tears away, and I felt the pain of heartbreak, and I've seen the brighter days, and I've prayed prayers to heaven from my lowest place, and I have held your blessings, God, you give and you take away. No matter what I have, your grace is enough. No matter what I am, I'm standing in your love. On the mountains, I will bow my life to the one who set me there. In the valley, I will lift my eyes to the one who sees me there. When I'm standing on the mountain, I didn't get there on my own. When I'm walking through the valley, I know I am not alone. You're God of the hills and valleys, hills and valleys. You're God of the hills and valleys, and I am not alone. I've watched my dreams get broken, and you I hope again. No matter what, I know I'm safe inside your hands. On the mountains, I will bow my life to the one who set me there. In the valley, I will lift my eyes to the one who saves me there. When I'm standing on the mountain, I didn't get there on my own. And when I'm walking through the valley, I know I am not alone. the God of the hills and valleys, hills and valleys, you God of the hills and valleys, and I am not alone. Father, you give and you take away every joy and every pain, and through it all you will remain. Over it all, Father, you give and you take away every joy and every pain, and through it all you will remain. Over it all. On the mountains I will bow my life, yeah. In the valley I will lift my eyes, oh yeah. On the mountains I will bow my life to the one who sees me there. In the valley I will lift my eyes to the one who sees me there. When I'm standing on the mountain, I didn't get there on my own. And when I'm walking through the valley, I know I am not alone. Ooh, you God of the hills and valleys, hills and valleys, you God of the hills and valleys, and I am not alone. You God of the hills and valleys, hills and valleys, you God of the hills and valleys, and I am not alone.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Kali. So this morning, our practitioner of the day, I don't know if we're going to be able to see her or not, is on Zoom. There she is. Hi, Carol. So our practitioner is Carol Delbon. And Carol and I went through practitioner training together a long time ago. You can't even remember how long ago. But Carol was a longtime resident of Tahoe City and moved to Sacramento like 3 years ago. And we're so grateful that she shows up on Zoom. So it's really interesting how she moved to Sacramento and then we went into COVID and then Zoom came about, which is, I'm grateful to Zoom. So today, Carol will be doing our special reading and our opening prayer. Thank you, Carol, for being here.
Thank you, Nancy, for the nice introduction. Yes, we've been together a long time. Okay, so excuse me. Our theme for April is the power of vulnerability, and our guest speaker, Reverend Laura Arneson, will be speaking on vulnerability, seeing and being seen. And she has chosen a reading for me from 365 Days of Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And it happens to be May 7th. It's a different book than we have, most of us have anyway. I will sing unto the Lord because he hath dealt bountifully with me. Psalms 13:6. I am conscious that I daily enter into my divine inheritance in my thought and in the spirit. I am entering into the realm of absolute causation. I completely believe that from this secret place of the Most High within me, there will be projected an objective manifestation of my legitimate desire. I know that all desires are legitimate so long as they do not harm any other person. All desires are legitimate when they express life without hurt to anyone. There is good enough to go around. Therefore, I do not withhold any good from myself or from others, but constantly proclaim that good alike belongs to each and all. There is that within me that sees, knows, and understands this truth, that completely accepts it, that remembers freedom, expresses freedom, and anticipates freedom. There is that within me that is completely conscious of its unity with good, of its oneness with all the power there is, and all the presence there is, and all the life there is. Upon this power, presence, and life, I depend with implicit certainty, with complete confidence, and with absolute assurance. I am expecting more good. I am remembering only the good. I am experiencing good. In this memory of good, in this experience of good, and the expectation of more good daily, I know that I move and have my being in the infinite sea of perfect life. And so now please join me in an opening prayer, knowing all that has just been mentioned, this intelligence, this peace, all of this is in this creation, this creator of all good, all peace, intelligence, beauty, love, abundance, joy. These and many other attributes belong to us. We have this connection with this wonderful spirit within. It is so close to us that it is always with us. And it's ever present to anyone, everyone. Does not play favorites. It is there when I need it and where everybody else can reach it also. So that spirit within is the guide often for me for my daily goings on, no matter what, especially when there are challenges, as I have certainly had lately. I know that I am centered with this spirit, always with me, always guiding me, always directing me. So I know this is the truth of everyone here. And for this Sunday service, in gratitude for Reverend Laura being here, and Kali Hansen, our musician who hasn't been with us for quite a while, looking healthy as always with us, and Nancy for presiding, and everybody else who's been involved in hospitality and whatever is involved there in person. I wish I could be there. I give thanks knowing this is the truth for everybody. And so it is. And I'd like to invite Kali back.
This next song I wrote in the last few months. As Carol said, I haven't been here in a while. I've been experiencing kind of a valley. I've been having a lot of health problems and some personal problems as well with one of my kids. And so I'm naming this song Enough. And I'm so blessed because God has given me the gift of when I feel down in that valley, when I feel so vulnerable and alone, he somehow gives me these magic downloads of music, and it helps me process through the dark times and help lift me up. And I hope it lifts you up as well. Anxiety is crippling. He confiscates my breath. His heavy weight engulfs me, crushing upon my chest. He robs me of serenity and steals my happiness. I want to let him go, but something deep inside says no. I wonder why he battles me so fiercely, waiting out of sight. My heart is pounding wildly with never-ending fright. It's time to slow my breath, inhale some happiness, and breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. Chaotic expectations twist like poison vines. 1,000 times I have tried to hide it from my mind. But like a stealthy tiger, he creeps behind. I want to let him go, but something deep inside says no. I wonder why he battles me so fiercely, waiting out of sight. My heart is pounding wildly with never-ending fright. It's time to slow my breath, inhale some happiness, and breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. Light surrounds me. I feel comfort in the air. Unleash my anxiety. Release all my cares. I know I am loved from God above. I am enough. I am loved. I am enough.
That was beautiful, Kelly. And thanks for sharing those words with us beforehand. We're doing, some of us are doing the class with Patrick Carbula on the soul, magic of the soul. And in it, he talks about being even grateful through challenges. And that's a hard thing to do, is being grateful for your challenges. But I can already tell how this challenge that you're going through has brought forth that beautiful music. So thank you for doing that. So this morning we have a guest speaker that I'm so grateful came, and we didn't even have snow for it to trudge through. Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of it out there, though. You can kind of see what it has been like. But Laura Arneson is an assistant minister at the CSL Reno, and for about a year and a half. She became a prayer practitioner in 2009. Maybe Carol and I are about that too. She facilitates a women's ministry called Women's Spirit once a month. And there we have time for fellowship, do spiritual work around a specific topic, including meditation, discussion, and experientials. So she's lived in Reno for 50 years, still works for the Washoe County School District, where she's been a teacher for 24 years. And what grade do you teach?
I work with K-5.
Oh, wow. Okay. Elementary school. Yeah. Oh, okay. And she has a daughter that lives in Austin, Texas, with her wife and pets. And she enjoys hiking, being outdoors, reading, doing jigsaw puzzles, spending time with family, friends, and her 1-year-old golden retriever. There are a few people here who are golden people. And the dog's name is Yogi. How cute. And she just loves being in service to our spiritual community. So let's welcome Laura this morning.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to see all of you. I was here in July, I think, and enjoyed being here with all of you, but it's nice to be back. So thank you for having me. So today our title is Vulnerability, Seeing and Being Seen. And so you guys have been really diving deep into vulnerability as living out loud this month. And Reverend Pam has shared with you what vulnerability is, what it isn't, and the power of self-reflection, allowing and opening within yourselves to support your ability to express fully. And so then also what gets in the way of our vulnerability. And so today we're going to be exploring what vulnerability looks like within community and how that supports a community in thriving and expanding and expressing fully when we as individuals allow ourselves to see and be seen. So there's all sorts of different kind of communities, right, that we're a part of. I mean, we're a part of our spiritual community. I'm a part of a school community. Children are part of a school community, which they don't always really have a choice about. They go to school where they're told to go to school. As adults, we have more of a choice about the communities that we engage in and become a part of. And maybe we have a work environment or an environment where we volunteer, or an environment where we practice certain forms of exercise, or groups that we do different hobbies with. So all of those things are different kind of communities that we engage in. So Charles Vogel, the author of The Art of Community, defines community as a group of individuals who share a mutual concern for one another. And on the great Google definition, is a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. So Vogel says, when we see that others are concerned about our own welfare, we'll invest more in building community with them and we'll feel more connected. So just as Kali shared her beautiful song and a bit of her story, that's it through our creative expression, through showing up in the world as with our gifts and our talents. That's a way that we can be seen. And then there's other ways of being seen through the opinions we have, through the thoughts and ideas that we share with one another, or perhaps don't. And then how we look at other people and see them, and can we accept them in their expression with their ideas, even if they're differing from ours, beyond our biases and our judgments and our comparisons. So Louise Hay said, if I want to be accepted as I am, then I need to be willing to accept others as they are. Right? So it takes a lot of courage to show up and express authentically and fully and share our truth with people. Not in all spaces. We all have different areas where we feel more comfortable doing that, and different areas where it's more of a stretch, or it feels a little bit more unsafe to do that, and we're not sure of what the reaction or response is going to be. So as I was researching this topic and looking for some stories, I came across a movie that I hadn't seen for quite a while, and it's called Freedom Riders. Maybe some of you remember it. It came out in the year 2007, and it was based upon a young teacher who went to work in the Los Angeles School District in Long Beach, California in 1994. And there had been a lot of upheaval in that area after the murder of Rodney King in 1992, a lot of riots. And so all of the integration and desegregation was at the forefront within the school district again. And they were enforcing integration of Latino and Hispanic, African American, Black students into schools that didn't have quite as much diversity. And so these students were going to a school in Long Beach, California, the Wilson Classical High School. And you know, Erin Gruel, she's an English teacher, and she's teaching 9th and 10th grade students. And she's just come out of college. She has this ideal vision of what her classroom is going to be like, and everybody's going to work together, and the students are going to love her, and she's going to teach all of this rich curriculum. And she comes into a classroom of students who have very, very difficult lives, something completely different from her and what she has she's had no exposure to. And they see her as a representation of a Caucasian white woman who is privileged and wants to keep them down, because that's the story, that's the experience that they've had. And she sees them as, she believes in them, but there's rival gang members in her class. There's homeless students in her class. There's students who can only read at a 4th grade level in her freshman class. They are unruly, and they have fights, and they refuse to work, and they disrespect her and each other. And so this is not her vision of what her classroom was going to be like. But rather than give up, she keeps at it. And she wants to get to know her students. She wants to know who they are. And the administration and the other teachers within the staff, they are very disgruntled and displeased that these individuals are now coming to their school and have changed the environment and the population of this school. And so they actually refuse to help these students in many ways. They refuse to provide them with resources such as books, because they're afraid they're going to destroy them or not bring them back. They haven't been taught, their curriculum has been dumbed down. So they haven't been taught things about the Holocaust and different things in history that would enrich their lives. And in many ways, they could find a relationship and an understanding of their own experience through these experiences in history. And so she creates this activity, and it's a line activity, and she puts a line down the middle of the room, and she starts with different questions, and she starts with the music that they like and different things from their cultures that and showing that she really is taking an interest in learning about them, because she wants to see them. And she asks them, how many of you know what the Holocaust is? And nobody steps to the line. How many of you have experienced gun violence and know somebody who has died? And they all step to the line. How many of you have, well, she asked how many of you are part of a gang, and none of them would answer her, but because that was like a off limits topic. But she asked them all different kinds of things like that. How many of you have been in the juvenile detention system? How many of you are on probation? How many of you are? And they could see, because in the classroom, because they were rival gang members, they could start seeing how they were alike in many ways, even though they had these groups that they were a part of that told them they needed to be enemies. And so then she decided that she would give them each a journal. And she said, I want you to tell me your story. You can write whatever you want in your journal. Nobody's going to censure you. And if you want me to read it, I have a cabinet right here. You put these journals in this cabinet, and it's going to be locked every night. So the only person that could read it is me. And these students started pouring out their stories of violence, of abuse, of neglect, of abandonment, of homelessness. And she started to be able to have empathy and compassion for their stories. And at the same time, this was very cathartic for them and healing, because she was really seeing them and accepting them for who they were. And they were also seeing her as this person who cared about them. She wasn't playing that role that they always saw in a white person. And so they started opening up and sharing and becoming interested in learning. And she got several extra jobs so that she could pay for books that they would be interested in, that they could relate to, books about students who are young people who were also in gangs. And the Diary of Anne Frank, they started learning about the Holocaust. And so this Classroom 203 became a safe haven for these students. It became their family, their community, even though on the outside, they had to pretend and act like they didn't like each other, because really they were still rivals. So through this meaningful curriculum, they became engaged in their learning process, in their writing, their scores started to go up. They were really learning because she believed in their ability. She believed that they were worthy of being taught. She believed that they were worthy as human beings, that they were worthy of succeeding. And she stood up and fought for them. She took them on field trips. She had them engage in dinners and have conversations with Holocaust survivors. So they were being exposed to different things in their environment that nobody had ever exposed them to. And most of the teachers, unfortunately, didn't think they were worthy of. So she created a community of individuals who had a mutual concern for one another. And she also knew the power of story, the power of being seen and seeing others. Marianne Williamson says, as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others the permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence actually liberates others. So she was a liberating presence in that school as she walked through her fears, advocating for these students. And in turn, they were able to walk through their fears and rise above their environment of their situation. Janet Mock, another author, said, I believe that telling our stories first to ourselves and then to one another in the world is a revolutionary act. So one of the most important things about community that draws us together are our values. For Center for Spiritual Living, we come together because we want to participate and share the values of this community. We want to be seen. It's kind of like, birds of a feather flock together, like attracts like. We want to be among people who share our values and the way we see the world and life. And for Center for Spiritual Living Reno, Reno, for all Centers for Spiritual Living, it's just common, it just flows from me. We all have different visions under that umbrella of the same vision, right? We believe in the individualized expression of spirit through each human being. We believe in one loving God. We believe in the power of prayer, and that when we speak our word, there is an impersonal law that acts upon that word. We believe in honesty and integrity and expressing authentically and respecting one another, accepting one another without judgment. And I was looking on your website, and I love your kind of triad that expresses what you believe. So the first one was passion. We are a loving and inclusive spiritual community that supports and inspires healing, prayer, and personal growth. We practice and teach spiritual principles through Sunday services, meditation classes, experiences in nature, and creative expression. And this is being your best. And then you're a resource engine. A divine source sustains us through our dedicated and creative people, socially relevant principles, and versatile sacred space within a magnificent natural setting. So recognizing that the divine is that ultimate resource engine for all of us. So honoring our oneness, honoring the ways in which we are all alike. And in a school environment, right, it's supposed to be about education, about valuing students, about lifting them up. And yet there's also implicit values that these are explicit values that we speak, and there's implicit values that can be experienced and have just as much power. And those are the underlying ones that come through in the way that we express ourselves. And it can be witnessed in how members relate to one another, right? This morning, there's people from Reno here and everybody's welcoming them and saying they're glad they're here. Everybody welcomed me. So you're obviously a very welcoming community. And you expressed that when I came here. And Kali being here, she hasn't been here for a while. You expressed your excitement at her being here. Everybody's coming together when Reverend Pam's not here. So obviously, you are expressing that implicit value of expressing and supporting the explicit values that you have. And sometimes, though, we don't always do that. Sometimes there could be gossip among people, right? And we maybe don't want to express ourselves fully, but we don't always want to go to the source. Or perhaps we have an opinion about something and it kind of colors the way that we see because it's different. And rather than speaking our truth about that, it kind of comes in the back door. So we have to be really careful about those implicit values and make sure that we're walking our talk, practicing what we say we believe and what we value and what's important to us, so that there's a congruence between what we are saying we believe in, what we value, and how we are expressing ourselves. Ernest Holmes said, "We see in each other the reflection or the manifestation of the everlasting life, and each is an individualized embodiment of it. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is already in us. We are in it. It is only as we are in harmony with it that we awake to it." So that harmony of coming together in our oneness and the values that we have. So there are times that vulnerability arises in community, right? Especially when we're going through our classes and we're working through false beliefs, or perhaps we're in the part of the leadership and there's ideas that come up that maybe there's some disagreement about, and we want to be able to speak our truth. And this can happen in any community that we're a part of. And in order for there to be true joy and that continuation of Spirit's full expression through us, it's important that we not tamp those things down, but find ways to express ourselves through respectful communication, right? To really say, this is what I believe and this is who I am. And it can take a lot of courage to do that. It can take a lot of courage to not have the same opinion as others. And it can also take a lot of courage to say, this is what's true for me. This is who I am. This is who I love. And this is what's true about my identity. Because there are those, for whatever reason, that don't want to see or acknowledge individuals in their authentic expression. And we see this going on in many ways, unfortunately, in our culture today, about people who are wanting to just express and be themselves. And it's very difficult for others to accept that they have a right to do that, which is very unfortunate. And often it's the minority groups that have the most difficulty with that. So anytime that there is a desire to express beyond the usual way, a call for change, or we truly want to be able to stand in a place of wanting, or can we stand in that place of truly wanting what's for the highest and best good? So it's important that in these places of discomfort, how can we handle these situations? So in our community, we have something that's called respectful communication. And I won't go through all of it, but it's basically that if you have a problem with somebody, you go to that person and you talk about that problem. And they do the same for you. If you make a mistake, you own your mistake and you make amends for that mistake that you've made. It's confidentiality. If you know something, I know prayer practitioners practice this all the time, and the prayers that we get, the requests that we get, we don't share them with anybody. We don't talk about them with one another because those are confidential, and people open their hearts and trust that information with us, and we hold that sacred. And so can we do the same for everybody in our community, right? If somebody tells us something, we don't feel the need to go over and tell our friend about it, something confidential that we think, oh, they know them too. They won't mind if I tell. But do we know that that's true? Just honoring that confidentiality of friendships and family and people within our communities and really holding that sacred. And if we have something that needs a resolution, a problem, can we bring that complaint forward with the desire to solve it, to find a resolution rather than to just kind of wallow around in the muck with a true positive, affirmative willingness to move into a better way of being if there's a problem or a concern. So in the book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, which is a great book about from Jim Damer and Diana Chapman and Kaylee Warner, there's a quote that says, "One point of view is too small for the whole truth." So another thing that we need to be able to do in community is perspective taking. Can we take the perspective of somebody else and see it from their point of view rather than needing to be right? Right? We like to be right. I like to be right. We all have that as human beings. We get attached to the outcomes. We get attached to our ways of seeing things. And a lot of times it has to do with what makes us feel comfortable and what makes us feel safe. It's connected to our identity a lot of times, right? So can we, from a place of awareness and love, move into seeing something from in another way? So the commitment 10 is, I commit to seeing the opposite of my story is as true or truer than my original story. I recognize that I interpret the world around me and give my stories meaning. So recognizing that we're the ones who put labels on things. We're the ones who decide in our own mind, according to our beliefs and our perceptions, how things are unfolding. So they have a line, and they consider that above the line is you're looking with love and awareness and open curiosity. Below the line, you're looking from a place of anger and fear and comparison. So below the line is, I commit to believing my stories and the meaning I give them as truth. So there's actually research that shows that lost my place. That when we can reframe our subjective perspective and be in a place of willingness, that we actually are happier. We're actually happier when we can look at it from the other side and see how somebody else is looking at something. So there's a powerful practice that they talk about, which is taken from the work of Byron Katie. Many of you are familiar with her and her 4 questions. And so she says that these 4 questions can be asked in order to help herself. She created them for herself and for others to examine their beliefs and their stories, and that cause us actual suffering, because the stories that we tell ourselves actually cause us suffering, right? So the first question is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true? How do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? And who would you be without that thought? So if we have a belief that says we're not enough, we can ask, is it true? Do we know that that's true? If I believe that, I value and I believe that God is all there is and that I am an individualized expression of God, is it true that I'm not enough? And how do I react? What happens inside of me when I believe that thought? So when I first became a minister, and many years before that, I was terrified of public speaking. Terrified. In high school, I would stand at the podium and could hardly get my words out because I was so nervous. My vocal cords would shake, So I'm just saying this because I had to go through a process of really exploring, finding my voice and expressing my voice and going through this, the stories that I would tell myself, well, I don't have a right to stand up there and speak. Well, is that true? I don't have anything important to say. Is it true? So that was a place in my life where I had to really question those beliefs. And through a process of doing that, through spiritual practices, through taking many courses, through practicing, it has become something that I actually really enjoy and that most people give me very positive feedback around. So it can cause, when we apply these questions to our life, it can really help us to shift our perspective around things and see how they're not, the truths that we hold are not necessarily true. So another thing that she does is called the turnaround. So if you have a statement about something, you can turn it around. And so the example, I just made this one up. Joan leaves me out of conversations. Turn it around to the opposite. Joan includes me in conversations. And you are encouraged in this practice to find three examples of when this is true. So you can apply this to anything in your life. Turn it around to yourself. I leave myself out of conversations. When do I not speak up? When do I not express myself? When do I not think that I'm worthy of doing something that just doesn't, when I leave myself out of a conversation, when I don't share my ideas? And then how is this statement as true or truer about myself than the original statement? Find three examples again. So our invitation through being seen, or seeing and being seen, as we think about these ideas, is to just check within. It requires that we really be present to what we believe, what our judgments are, what our thoughts are, what our, not only about ourselves, but about others. And not that they're all, I'm not saying they're all negative. We all have obviously many good things that we see in ourselves and others, but just checking inside and being aware of where we need to do our work when it comes up so that we can be fully present, because we are here to express the magnificence of God. And God expresses individually through each of us, right? And we're here to express that God's self, to shine our light, to be fully present in our creative expressions and in our relationships and in our work and all that we do, to show up as the truth of our being. So Julianne O'Connor, another author, when you let me see you, you give me permission to be seen. And of course, from Brene Brown, who is just like the ultimate vulnerability person who knows so much and has brought so much information to our culture and really helped shift these ideas around vulnerability and shame and courage and living with wholeheartedly. We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known. And when we honor the spiritual connection from that grows with trust, respect, kindness, and affection. I typed that wrong. So just shine your light, see others shining their light, and appreciate the differences that you see in yourself and others, and be fully present and witness the expression of God all around us. So let's take this into prayer. And so I stand here in this sacred space, acknowledging that one infinite power and presence of the divine, knowing that truth of love, of wholeness, of oneness, of unity, of beauty, that is the expression of myself and all here. For I know that I am an individualized expression of the one. And as I know this for myself, I know this for each person in this room, for each person on Zoom, for each person in this community, and all of the ways in which we touch others in our lives, every person we look upon is a beautiful being of the one. And so I know that we are all expressions of love, expressions of light, of oneness and wholeness, here to shine our beauty and our magnificence, our uniqueness, our individualized creative selves. And how wonderful this is. What a wonderful, beautiful gift that we have been given to bring our voice, to bring our presence, to bring our values and our beliefs into whatever space that we have been divinely called to. For I know that spirit is that activity and action of our lives. And through the power of our spiritual practices, through our beliefs, we can show up knowing that we are always in our right place at the right time with the right people, trusting that we are guided from that intuitive space of knowing within to be exactly who we are, to see others exactly as they are, beyond what the ego would define, what is acceptable or right or correct. Just knowing that we are all here as the expression of this one life. And so it is perfect. It is beautiful. And we are so, so blessed. And so I know that as each of us go out into our lives and our communities, in the spaces upon which we live, in our families, among our friends, that we connect on a deep level. Our hearts are open, and that the love of God is the love of each of us that expresses in, through, and as who we are. And so in doing this, we are all blessed and uplifted. And for this, I am just so grateful for the magnificence, the graciousness of spirit. And I release my word into the law, knowing fully and completely that it is done. And so it is. Amen. Do you want? Okay.
Another song from Kali.
This song was relatively new in my repertoire, and it was introduced to me by one of my little students who's almost 9 years old. And it was her very first song she picked. And it's called We'll Be All Right. And I said, and she happens, I've been teaching for 37 years. She happens to share my name. And I said, Kali, what made you pick this song? And she said, well, because, sometimes it's really hard, being a little kid right now. And I empathize with that. Like, she's almost 9 years old, and it's a way different world than it was when I was her age. And I happen to be in a really kind of sort of dark place too. And it kind of helped me remember that we'll be all right. And it's by Grace Potter. Hope you enjoy it. When the world's feeling heavy with sorrow, and the day looks as dark as the night, as long as there's gonna be a tomorrow, we'll be all right. I know we'll be all right. What kind of war are we living through? My bleeding heart is needing you to rock me like a baby, hold me like a child, show me peace of mind for a little while, pull me from the shadows, remind me how to smile, remind me when the world's feeling heavy with sorrow, and the day looks as dark as the night, as long as there's gonna be a tomorrow, right, we'll be all right, we'll be all right. Tell me whose broken dream am I living in? I'd walk through fire to wake up again. Rock me like a baby, hold me like a child. Show me peace of mind for a little while. Pull me from the shadows, remind me how to smile. Won't you remind me when the world's feeling heavy with sorrow and the day looks as dark as the night? As long as there's gonna be a tomorrow, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. Oh no, we'll be all right. When the world's feeling heavy with sorrow and the day looks as dark as the night, as long as there's gonna be a tomorrow, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. All right.
Wow, Kelly, it's really brought us some beautiful music this morning.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I love that. So, and Laura, thank you. You know, I was just thinking about how much courage it takes to be vulnerable these days and to stand in other people's shoes and see it from a different perspective. But thank you for bringing that up today and speaking to it so eloquently. Thank you. So now is our time for our prosperity time. So we know that God is our infinite source for our center and for each of us as individuals. So there are many ways that you can give. As usual, there's PayPal, there's Venmo, there's checks, there's cash. Oh, good. Look at that. And there's a slide to let you know all about that. So if you just take your offering and hold it over your heart and repeat with me our prosperity affirmation. Not on there. That's okay. In everything, I give thanks. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from my God, my infinite source. My gift blesses the center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. So
Blessed, I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
and just in knowing how blessed we all are, and that this is just an example of money, abundance, the blessings that we have coming into our lives and flowing out too, because it's all about circulation, and all of that we are incredibly grateful for. And so just in knowing that abundance is all around us and we are a piece of that as we move out into this world in gratitude. So I'm just grateful for all blessings this morning. So it is. So I'd just like to, welcome everyone this morning, especially our guest. Laura's fan club came along with her. And so we're so glad that you came in. If you would like to sign our guest book, and you can always go on our website, Tahoe-CSL.org, if you'd like to receive our newsletter. I'd like a few thank yous this morning. Thank you, Laura, especially for coming and being our guest minister this morning. For Zoom, and Shirley and Karen in the back doing the AV and Zooming. Our practitioner, Carol Dalbon, who we can't see right this moment. Our musician, Kali Hansen, and for Shirley Nelson for hospitality. Thank you all. So I'm going to try and just whip through these announcements because we're kind of getting a little late here. So right after, we have a hospitality room just right here, and we have some snacks and coffee, that we'd love to have you join us, and so we can get to know you a little better, and just in gratitude for you coming from Reno to support Laura and to support us too. Thank you. So next Sunday, Reverend Pam will be back and speaking on vulnerability. This is the month, power and possibility, and our practitioner will be Brenda Heldorn, and our musician will be Tuck Wilson. So we are also, I have a YouTube channel if you'd like to go back and see our recording. So that would be Tahoe CSL on YouTube. Today, I just wanted to go over today, there is a virtual event, and Colleen is on Zoom actually this morning. Colleen has put together a concert for wearing her So Am I Worthy hat. She coordinated this virtual concert to benefit the women earthquake survivors in Northwest Syria. And she's assembled some of our favorite musicians, Angelica Schaefer, Karen Drucker, and others. And our newsletter has a website link, which I tried this morning and I didn't have much success with it. So I'm hoping that she's kind of fixed that up. But that's today from 4:30 to 6. And then also Donna Axton, who is one of our practitioners, has a community choir, and they'll be doing a concert tonight at St. Patrick's in Incline at 7. And just another reminder about our tulip field trip. So we're going to Ananda a week from tomorrow to see the tulips. And we had to postpone that trip because of our cool spring, I guess is what you would call it. And the tulips were a little slow in opening up, but I hear now they're going at it. So if you want to do that, you have to go to crystalhermitage.org online to get your tickets. And it's $25 for vegetarian lunch and the tour of the tulips. And our tour is at 1:45. If you haven't already signed up to do that, that has to be done online. The Red Tent, the monthly women's circle, just meets once a month. The next meeting is May 16th, 6:30 to 8:30 at the Wellness Center in Kings Beach. And Adopt a Highway is coming up. And as Laura went over 267, so she gave me an update about how the snow is looking. But I think it's that gets a lot of sun up there. So I think it's pretty much, we're going to be okay for May 20th. So we meet at 9 o'clock at the Kingswood condos on Commonwealth. So, the first Adopt a Highway after winter is always a big one. There's usually plenty of trash out there for us to pick up. So please, you can talk to me if you'd like to come and help us clean the highway. So also there is the SOAR, the Centers for Spiritual Living. It's the annual conference, the summer retreat at the Silomar, which you can, that registration is open now, and the early bird lasts until June 16th. And then we have our annual retreat coming up in September 8th through the 10th with Melissa and Z, which they have quite a following. And we're so grateful to have them be doing our retreat this year at Ananda. So the deposit to reserve your room choice is $250, and it's due until July 10th, but it's now open. And it's also on our website too, tahoecsl.org. So we also have drop-in classes on Zoom. We have Tai Chi with Chris and Mary's Ananda meditation every Thursday, and Supaipo leads online A Course of Love on Friday nights. So I think that's it for those announcements. Whew, there's always a ton of stuff going on. We don't have any kids today, but we want to acknowledge all kids as we say, we see you, we hear you, we love you. You are a gift from God, and so it is. So, and also, if any of you would like any prayer after the service, I am a practitioner, and I'm the only one here today as a practitioner, but I would be happy to be here and do a prayer with any of you if you're needing some support. And Carol is also a practitioner, and she's online for anybody online who may need the same. So we're about ready to do our closing song. So we're going to do Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Are we doing a circle thing or no?
Would you? No, we just stand. We're going to stand and
Okay. Here we go. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, family are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
so our affirmation is my true self, source of peace and love. Thank you, everybody. Join us for hospitality.